at a young age up to their adult life, and even continued education in that adult life. Then they transition to work to not use about 60% of what was learned from formal school education. And the reason why people transition to work life from school life to end up not using a huge chunk of what they've learned is because they fail to realize there are three types of education. A few people realize this. Most don't. There's academic education, professional education, and financial education. Most people think academics, they think it is what qualifies competence and success. It's the reason why you have a bunch of fucking idiots walking around with a bunch of degrees thinking they have it figured out. Yet, nothing is getting better in society daily. Life is not getting easier for people, except for those who figure out the importance of the third type of education, which is financial education. Most spent the majority of their childhood in academic institutions, therefore they never have a childhood. Most adults, you see these starting from the baby boomer generation up to those in their 30s and 20s, most of them are zombies. That's the reason why this thing is all fucked up. On someone else's purpose. Normal stepping stone of development of what it means to be a human. And they've been conditioned, it is all right not to, so long as you feel like you're doing something significant by doing someone else's purpose. By the time most people realize this, it's too late. This is where you see a bunch of people trying to go into spirituality, taking the spiritual journey, going to India, trying to go back to Africa, all that crap. But in truth, your response has been within you this whole time. Is because the pragmatic function of work, which requires time as a calculation of what type of energy you've dispersed within space, they fail to realize the importance. It's the third type of education, which is financial education. At some point in most people's life, they realize their academia education did nothing to them, because when they get to work, they have to conform to the work culture. And the work culture tells them something completely different from what they've learned in books. And what's in those books changes each semester. Work is spend time, spend energy for money. Work is spend time, spend energy for money. Most people might want to lie to you and tell you they're doing their dream job and they're helping people. That's a lie. Tell them to do that same thing, do the dream job, help people without compensation for it. See how they pay bills if they're not living homeless. Most humans spend the energy of their lives on money works, which is financial education. Academia and professional education does not get you much, but keeps you a serf. The replacement of lifelong learning has been replaced with, instead of you embarking on life's journey to independently use your own thoughts to determine what you ought to learn that fits your soul, most people let someone else dictate it for them and provide limited parameters of where you can reach and go, and the limits of how beneficial you will be to other humans through academia. That's the reason why they trap most people in it at a very young age. See, academia is important to realize the structure, that the system that you're in, the thinking behind it, for you to get an inside view of it. But that's about all there is to it. Get an inside view of it. That inside view is not the inside view that benefits you and your soul and your purpose here. That inside view is to get you to see what you be interfacing with when you start using financial education and professional education. Because professional education is where you meet people who can assist you on a certain level because they're fully committed to it. Financial education is where you retain a position whereby you be able to compensate them. You're not doing the same thing they do, but you have access to finance different than them. And thereby, because you know them as a professional, they work for money. Thus, the one who has financial education is always going to be the king. Most people are not taught this when it comes to the concept of work. And the only way you can have financial education that suits you is to figure out that gift that you have that fits your soul. Because that thing has been the perfected checks and balance that is bound to make you monies, one way or the other, even if the world does not like it. For goodness sakes, there are prostitutes out here making millions each year. That's because their divine hit, their fortune, has assigned that occupation to be done here on earth to be successful. There are those who just throw some paint on a canvas that takes less than a minute and get paid millions for it each year. That's because their divine head has chosen that to be what they're going to do. But you would never find these people in professional settings. Work comes in many different forms outside of what people consider professional settings. But you have to find your gift and then give part of that to the world at a cost that you determine. Because ultimately, if it is truly your gift, people will benefit from it. And it is impossible for you not to consequently benefit from it based on that thing called collective consciousness. Humans that you meet in 21st century, majority of them are not happy because they're not doing what their divine head sent them to do here, because they've fallen into the trap of academia and professional world. And most people, that professional world and academia fails them. Go into an office setting, look at these people, interact with them in the most basic way. You will realize they are not happy because they are spending energy, spending time, displacing energy, occupying space and distance in a manner that is not uniform with the internal force. The internal force is what your divine fortune is. Most are paying the price because they fail to engage in that internal force, which is called mental toil of studying and doing things and saying what people do not like and things that even they may not like that might be uncomfortable. But doing what you don't like and what other people don't like is where the freedom and opportunity exists to gauge where changes are to be made in your life functionally. Those who change the world are those who are not bound by limiting someone else's slave, one way or the other. Granted, when they begin to make changes, people will be shaken a bit, which will cause people to express anger and fear in an attempt to deter the positive changes being made. Most use work the wrong way. Their time is controlled, their energy is controlled, what they can say is controlled, what they can do is controlled. Whether or not they're fired is not up to their own free will. All the while, they have not contributed to humanity's forward motion beyond being a meal for the shareholders of the corporation. But those with financial knowledge knows how to convert that human equitable energy to use, though.